This morning I was standing in front of my bathroom and I was frozen. I watched as the shower head was pouring down glacial water. Tiny little icebergs moving in rapid succession. Down, 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 down. And I look at it and every inch of my body is telling me, it's alright, you can just turn the heat of the water up, bro. You don't need to go into that. Don't do it. Don't do it. I hear these thoughts in my head and I don't listen to them. I open the shower door and I step in. I have this jolt as the glacial water pours over my body. I suddenly lose control of the breathing that I'd been doing beforehand. I did the Wim Hof method before I got in. So I was doing big breath in, small breath out, big breath in, small breath out. And I step under there and my breath gets out of control. I try and keep my composure for a couple seconds. I think I've stayed under there for maybe 10 seconds tops. And then I turn the shower off. I've done it. I've had my first cold shower. This is discipline. Every single part of me did not want to get in that cold shower. But I did it anyway because I knew it was a good thing for me to do. You see, discipline is the act of doing something you don't want to do because you know it'll benefit you in the future. You listen to all the thoughts in your mind trying to cope and tell you, don't do this thing, don't get in that cold shower. It's alright, bro, you can do it tomorrow. You listen to them and you tell them to fuck off and you do it anyway. That's discipline. The average person today lacks discipline. If you walk down the street and look out for the average person, you see someone who literally doesn't even exercise weekly or regularly. They don't even take regular exercise. You see, without discipline, you are doomed to fail in whatever you look out to do. You will not achieve the results you want if you do not have discipline. I'm sorry, but it's just the truth. Without discipline, we are unable to fulfill our deepest purpose, and therefore we are letting our loved ones, as well as the whole world, down. However, we are not doomed to have no discipline for our entire lives. We're able to train discipline. Discipline is something you can train just like your muscles at the gym. You can progressively overload and you can gain discipline. So how do you train your discipline? Well, first I'd like to differentiate the difference between discipline and willpower. Discipline is specifically doing things that you don't want to do. Willpower is when you don't do something even though you really want to do it. For example, an example of discipline would be going for a run when it's windy and cold outside. And an example of willpower, that would be like, you don't eat the chocolate bar. Even though you really want to eat the chocolate bar, you don't eat it. That's the difference. I'm going to be talking about discipline specifically in this video. I will do a video on willpower in the future, but at the moment I'm just going to be talking about discipline. for this video specifically. So, how do we train discipline? Well, it's really quite a simple process. What you do is you think of something that would be good for you. For example, you might think of going for a walk. While you're thinking of that, you're sitting on your phone and you're relaxed and you're comfortable, and your mind's you think of that going for a walk, and your mind starts coping. Oh, you don't need to go for a walk. You've had a rough week. You've had a long week. You can just relax now. A person who's not disciplined would be like, you're right. And they keep scrolling on their phone for the entire night. They wouldn't make any progress in their discipline. But a person who practices discipline would be like, oh, don't care, I'm not listening to you. They put the phone down. They get into their jacket and they go outside for a walk. This is like such a simple thing to train. Every time you go for the walk when you don't want to go, you're doing one repetition of discipline. The more reps you do with discipline, the stronger you get. It's literally the same concept as progressively overloading in the gym. As the discipline becomes easier for you to do, you might start actually wanting to do the discipline. Rather than your mind coping, you actually want to go do it. So all of a sudden, instead of your mind saying, nah, we don't need to go for a walk, your mind will be like, actually, that's a good idea. Let's go for a walk. This is when we know that we have reached the max discipline in this activity, and we have to make it harder and move on to the next step. So now that you've gotten comfortable with going for a walk, you've trained that discipline. Now you need to make it harder. So instead of going for a walk, for example, you might decide to go for a run. Your mind's going to repeat all the thoughts that it had before when you didn't want to go for a walk. But in order to train your discipline, you have to do the action, even though you don't want to. So now you got to go for the run. And as you keep running consistently, that step will eventually be disciplined. That activity will become easy because you've got the discipline to do it enough where it's become enjoyable to you and you understand that it's good for you. And it's then you'll have to go and find another way to add discipline into that. And you keep on going forever and ever and ever to keep training your discipline. You keep going up and up and up and up and up. That's how you do it. You just got to find an activity that challenges you in order to keep progressing and keep increasing your discipline. This is something that I think a lot of people that go to the gym struggle with. They think they're disciplined because they go to the gym, which was a hard thing for them to begin with. But as they went to the gym more and more, the discipline turned into wanting to actually do it. It wasn't discipline anymore because they actually looked forward to going to the gym and actually working out. So these people think they're disciplined, but really they're just doing something they already want to do. So how can that be discipline? You see, when you get comfortable with the activity of working out and doing weightlifting, what you need to do is find ways to start adding more discipline into the routine. So at the end of your workout, for example, you could do 5 minutes of cardio. After your workout, you don't really want to do anything. You don't want to do the 5 minutes of cardio. You want to just have a shower and go home, or go home and have a shower if you shower at home. But you really don't want to do the cardio. Your mind will cope and say, nah, let's just go home. We're tired. We've just had a big workout. Let's just go home. You have to not listen to those coping thoughts and you just go do the cardio. All of a sudden you realize this isn't so bad. And it's good for you. Like, cardio is good for you. As you do it more often, it becomes a habit, it becomes part of your routine, it becomes easier. Then when that becomes easier, you need to find another way to make it more difficult. This just goes on and on and on forever. So you do stretches at the end of your workout. And you keep doing it, and then you just find new activities to do at the end of your workout to train the discipline. Discipline is such a simple thing to train. You just have to find the right activity to train it. And when that activity becomes easy for you to do and you don't get the discipline from it, you have to replace it with a new activity or add another activity at the end if you want to keep doing that activity and you enjoy it. I'd like to add that when you're training your discipline, whatever you're doing, it doesn't need to be hard. Discipline for one person may look like doing the dishes. No one wants to do the dishes realistically. No one enjoys doing the dishes. But a disciplined person will do it anyway because they know after they do it, they'll have the dishes, they'll have plates for the next meal. That's the benefit of doing the dishes. Even though you don't want to do it, you have to do it. Otherwise, you'll just have dishes all over the house and it'll look messy as. You sacrifice your pleasure in the short term so that in the long term your house doesn't look like a mess and you'll have plates for your next meal. That's it. Discipline is just doing what you don't want to do, even when you don't feel like it. Specifically when you don't feel like it. That is discipline. And you can't be disciplined unless you take action. Now stop consuming and go create.